Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are joining us from. We are here today with the folks from Syncro, and I know we've all heard of Syncro. So how is everyone doing today?
Very good, Scott. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Doing
Awesome.
great.
It's been a little while since we've done this, so hopefully we got some members who are interested in Syncro and just haven't taken the time to learn more about it. So let's start with what is Syncro?
Awesome. So I'll go ahead and kick us off here. But again, like Scott said, thank you everyone for joining us today. We are looking forward to chatting with you. I am Brandy Crown, and I am the Director of Sales here at Syncro. And I am joined by a wealth of knowledge in the MSP space. I'll hand it over to you, Andy.
Well, hey, everybody. My name is Andy Cormier, and I am the Partner Development Director here at Syncro. I have some pretty deep-seated roots in the space. I've actually previously owned a consulting firm for about a decade, and we did a lot of work with MSP-centric products, things like RMMs, PSAs, of course, and then a lot of miscellaneous bits like CRM, proposal systems, documentation, you name it. That's actually how I met Syncro through the normal course of business at my consultancy. During that time, I also started an MSP from scratch, grew it to about $4.5 million in annual revenue before selling that off. And I like to think that I have one of the best jobs in the world here at Syncro, because one of my core functions is to ensure that Syncro MSPs are the most profitable MSPs on the planet. And that's something that I take very, very seriously. It's something I enjoy very, very much. And really, really excited to show everybody some of the ways that we do that here in Syncro in just a bit.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. And to give you guys an idea of what to expect today, we're going to start by covering 6 highlights of Syncro, just so that you know what we're about and who you'd be working with if you did decide to partner with us. And from there, we'll dive into a live demo so you can get a small taste of what we have to offer here at Syncro. We are going to save some time at the end for some questions, so feel free to drop those questions in the Facebook thread under this post, and we will take time to answer those at the end of the question or at the end of the session today. So the first thing we want everyone to know, well, what is Syncro, right? We are a full-blown RMM, PSA, and remote access platform. We're not 2 separate platforms that were made to integrate with one another. Every single element of Syncro directly interacts with the other. So we have one database, one interface, and one login with Syncro. And we oftentimes say here at Syncro that we're a platform that's created by MSPs for MSPs. And because of that, every single thing that we build is fine-tuned specifically for MSPs. So every feature we build and deliver was designed for businesses just like yours. And when you hear of an all-in-one platform, sometimes it makes you think of something that is a mile wide and 6 inches deep. And that's definitely not what we do here. So not only is our RMM, PSA, and remote access functionality fully featured, but every element, like I said earlier, of what we do interacts with every other element of what we do. So scripts can create tickets. They can even record billable time as well. You can have your recurring invoices go dynamically count any client's employees or endpoints and bill accordingly each month without you having to lift a finger and manually count anything. You can also enable work from home scenarios for your clients using our remote access functionality with Splashtop, and even dynamically count and bill for those as well if you'd like to. And we know that everybody has tools that they cannot live without. And the great news is that with Syncro, you don't have to. We have over 50 third-party integrations that are laser focused in the MSP space. So we have integrations like Bitdefender and Webroot for antivirus, Proofpoint for email security, Acronis for backups, QuickBooks Online and Xero for accounting, and multiple payment processors built right into Syncro. We will win you back more time than any other platform on the market.
Now, when Brandy mentioned we're a platform designed by MSPs for MSPs, that spills over into every facet of what we do here, even our pricing. When you're a product built by MSPs for MSPs, something unusually amazing happens. You actually believe in your own product. And when you believe in your product, you don't believe in forcing your partners onto long-term contracts. You believe in earning their business every single month without exception. And the moment we stop earning that business is the precise moment that you should be able to take your business to somebody else that does. Now, this is what you get when you work with a platform that can only grow when you do. You get unlimited endpoints, you get no contracts, you get no minimums, you get no forced onboarding fees. So most importantly, when you land that next big client, you'll never see us reaching out our hands saying, hey, where's our cut? It doesn't work like that here at Syncro. One of the best things about Syncro is our ease of adoption. We have tools to quickly migrate you from virtually any other platform. And from there, you can literally get started in minutes. That's a far cry from some other platforms that force you onto paid onboarding sessions before you can even use them. Our platform just makes sense, so you won't have to attend a university. You're not going to have to watch hundreds of hours of videos to reap the benefits of what Syncro offers. In fact, this is why G2 ranked us the fastest time to ROI out of every single RMM on the market, and that's one that we're quite proud of. Now, Syncro would be nowhere near where we are today without our fantastic community, which is why we love to interact with our partner MSPs on a daily basis. We have a Syncro Facebook group that has over 3,000 participating MSPs, and we have a community forum where we regularly interact with our partners there as well. We listen to our users, and virtually every feature we build is comprised of the most popular requests coming direct from those communities. With over 4,000 MSPs worldwide using the Syncro platform, we are consistently recognized for our achievements. The one that matters most, of course, is that Syncro represents the best ROI for MSPs. And that's why we consistently maintain such high scores with G2 and Capterra. Now, Brady and I can obviously come on here and say anything we want, which is why I would highly encourage anybody interested to go have a look at what our partner MSPs have to say about Syncro specifically. Now, another award we received from G2 is that Syncro is the easiest vendor to do business with because we have a full-fledged 14-day trial. There's no credit cards to put in. You don't have to change your phone number because you're going to get inundated with 25 sales calls a week. You know the drill. So we really just want you to see what it is that we're doing here. We'll also schedule a personalized walkthrough based on your specific business needs. Our pricing is public. It is right on our website. There's no funny business. There's no games. It's priced per technician, and that includes unlimited endpoints and full access to the PSA. There is no plan that doesn't include all of those things. Okay, so next we're going to take you on an overview of a few areas of the platform so you can see Syncro in action for yourself. And then toward the end, we'll take any and all questions you guys have. I'm going to cut out of one and I'm going to share another screen. Give me just a second here. All right. Can you all see my script screen?
Yep.
All right. So first thing we're going to talk about is scripting. And you might be saying, dude, scripting is a super common thing. It's in every RMM. Why are you showing me this? Well, this is one of the things we're actually quite famous for. And we like to deliver on something we call power through simplicity. This is not ridiculous heaps of things that you have to learn. It's attainable power by all. So the days of having a single technician with all the knowledge that leaves and all of a sudden you don't know how to use your platform effectively, those days are over. And I'm going to show you some of the ways that scripting can handle that for you. One of the things that makes scripting in Syncro great is that we make excellent use of variables. And here's just a basic script. It's just an example. This is going to download a file, and it's going to go ahead and run that file on any given endpoint. So right off the bat, if I have 50 different pieces of software I want to deploy, I don't want to have 50 different scripts to do that. So I can do what's called add a runtime variable. When I run this script, it's going to pop up a little modal, and it's going to say, hey, what's the destination file path? That's where I want this file to be downloaded to. Hey, what's the source URL? This is the URL I'm going to download the file from. Now I have one script that can literally be run for any manner of things, any manner of software, any reason I want, and I don't have to create additional scripts to handle that power. Now, there's going to be other times where you don't want a variable to be anything the tech puts in. Let's be honest, sometimes techs like to go crazy or get super granular to a level they don't need to do that. So what if I had a script and it was going to clean up temporary hard drive space? Now, I might want to get more aggressive depending on how low that disk space is. And I don't want my tech to determine how aggressive to be. I want to determine that for them. So we have this drop-down variable type, and this lets you key in values that are selectable as an option, but you can't deviate from this. And you can even set the default. So the default is, hey, if this is 50 gigabytes, go ahead and do this. If you want to set it to be super aggressive, if it's less than this, it can go ahead and take a different action. Point being is that you can use this for anything you want to define certain selections, but not every selection like you could with a runtime variable. And then the real coup de grace of what we can do in Syncro is platform variables. And this really happens because, again, Syncro is a platform under one roof. Both the RMM and PSA are fully accessible by any component in the platform. And what that lets us do is, here's an example of a deployment script for Acronis. We recently launched a Acronis partnership where you can purchase backup licenses through Syncro, resell them to your customers. And this deployment requires a registration token, which is common, and that registration token is unique per customer. So I went ahead and I added a custom field specific for that registration token on my on my customer record. This can actually go in and pull any value from the endpoint record, from the customer record, from the contact record, and you can use it in this script. So what I did was I grabbed my Acronis registration token, and now I can take that value and inject it into my script. So I could actually deploy Acronis across 100 customers, across 1,000 different machines, and it would go to every customer record and say, here's the token I need to use for this specific script, and fire it all off in one shot. And another example of these drop-down values in places, we actually support a couple more regions now, but these are regions that we support, and they require a specific region code in the deployment script to operate. Well, now you can't accidentally try to type US and you type something else. You're just going to select from the pre-selected options, so you know that you're always using the right nomenclature that the script requires. This is another claim to fame of Syncro. What we did is we obviously have a full-blown API, and that's not always easy to reference and use for everybody. So we added this PowerShell quick help, which is super cool. All you do is add this line to the top of your script, and then it enables all of these API calls out of your script. And they're all one line. That's it. They're all one-liners. And it lets you do things that are super cool, like you can launch your own RMM alert. You can just throw a custom one for any reason you want. You can log custom activity to the endpoint record. You can upload a file and attach it to the endpoint record. You can even string these together. So as an example, you can say, okay, I'm going to run a maintenance script overnight, and I'm going to have it open a ticket. In that ticket, I'm going to add a comment, and I'm going to go ahead and add all the results of this maintenance script to the comment. I'm going to go ahead and add 30 minutes of billable time to the ticket, and then I'm going to go ahead and close the ticket. So you can literally wake up the next day to a boatload of billables on your tickets from resolved tickets that happened overnight. You didn't have to lift a finger. You just wake up, you invoice them out, you collect your money. That's the kind of power that's possible with Syncro scripting. Now we have a couple little bonus features in here too that I love to talk about. One of them is maintenance mode. One of the things that traditionally sucks about maintenance mode in this type of application is that it always goes on longer than it really needs to. So if you want to run something between 2 and 6 o'clock in the middle of the night, that's fine, but you schedule a 4-hour maintenance mode. Maybe you needed it for 15 minutes, but that's how you have it set because that works for everybody. We don't believe in it works for everybody. We believe in giving you the granularity that you need to make it work across the board. So you can set maintenance mode times in the script, but even better, you can actually say enable it for the duration of the script. So imagine you have a long-running script that uses a lot of resources on a machine. Some machine that has a lot of power, maybe it's done in 5 minutes, but if you have a dog machine, maybe it takes an hour. So this is going to set maintenance mode for the duration of the script, no matter how long it takes on any specific endpoint, meaning you will never miss key alerts because you were in this artificial maintenance mode that you had to schedule and you had to set. Then we, of course, have files that you can inject into your script. So obviously I have my Acronis installer that we're using for this script, but you can add as many as you need. It could be multiples in a single script. You can just have an army of files that you call on when you need. And we also have our community script library. This is now over 600 scripts, fully searchable. You can see how popular and how utilized different things are. You can simply find something you like. You can import it to your scripts. And before you finalize it, you can adjust anything you want and customize it to your needs. You don't have to take it over. You're free to modify it in any way that you like. Now, when it comes to running scripts, this is also pretty easy. Here we're looking at a bunch of endpoints. I could just randomly select some ones that I need in a particular customer or that meet a particular need. I could also filter this and then select some assets. And then I could just bulk run my script. So I can go ahead and pick something from here. And if it needs those variables, I can go ahead and inject those right now. You always have the option to flip it between system and logged in user. Even if you intended it to be one, you can flip the other as a one-off. And then you can run it once, or you could schedule it to run on whatever cadence you want. And then finally, Syncro is a little bit unique in that when there's an offline endpoint, we will queue that script up and dedupe that script. And what that means is it's going to sit there and it's going to wait until that machine comes back online, and then it's going to fire off. If it's off for like a week and you have a script running every day, it's only going to do that once. It's smart enough to say, I don't need to run this 7 times in a row. If you don't like that behavior, you can just check this box and it's going to skip any endpoint that it finds it's offline. Now, if you want to get a little bit broader than that, you can actually just go up to the actions and run script. And now you'll have some extra options. You could run it across every single device that you have if you wanted to. You could also pull up a specific save search. Say I just want to run it against my aging operating systems, write some data back to Syncro, and then I can use that for a marketing campaign later. Super easy. You can also do it against every single endpoint in a specific customer. And then I'll show you all policy inheritance later, but this lets you take a specific folder. So we'll take a training customer here and I say, hey, I want to run it against this customer's workstations. And if you have multiple folders underneath workstations, it's how you can organize endpoints in Syncro. You can say, I want to include all the endpoints in the nested folders below that. There's literally nothing you can't configure with this system. Extremely, extremely possible. Now, one last thing I want to show quick is how scripts attach to policies. And there's 2 ways. Every policy can have a scheduled script, and you can have as many as you like in an individual endpoint policy. And in this one, I'm going to monitor my Acronis installations, and I want to look at the backup job. Is everything healthy? Is it doing what I expect? I want to run it once a day at midnight. And this is a drop-down variable. Again, this is available here, and it says, hey, how many days do you want to alert before there's been a successful backup? So one of our philosophies is, yes, backup fails, that's bad. But if, let's say, the agent crashed for some reason, your backup agent, and you're not getting a successful backup, that's different than a failure. You're not getting failures, but you're not getting a backup either. So this is a little bit advanced way to handle how you want to cover backups that aren't occurring. Now, secondarily, you can use these setup scripts. This is for saying, hey, any endpoint that attaches itself to this policy, I want it to do all this stuff. I want to know that they're all set up exactly the same way, and this is how you do that. So here I have a script that will install all my default software packages. This is for a specific customer. They require 10 different things. This is going to go ahead and deploy those 10 different things. This is one that I'm sure annoys everybody. Set the default power and reboot settings. There's nothing worse than going, scheduling time at night, then you look and the thing's offline, Wake on LAN doesn't want to behave for whatever reason. So this allows you to ensure that everything is set up the same way. And then you can get really granular with how it runs. If you have instances where endpoints are moving to and from policies quite frequently, you can dictate how this will behave. So I only want to install this software if it's never been run before, because theoretically, I don't need to do it again. However, with this set power and default, maybe it moved to another policy that sets some different power settings, then it moved back here. I always want to run this. And if I want to get more granular, I can even say, hey, only do it if it didn't run in the last 30 days. Exponentially more functionality than you get out of scripting in most platforms. And again, most of this is powered by the fact that Syncro exists as one unified platform under one roof, both for the RMM and the PSA. So I'm gonna kick it over to Brandy for the next step.
Awesome. That was amazing. I love our scripting engine. It's easy to use. I had never run a script ever before coming to Syncro, and I can do it. So everyone can do it, I promise.
And I want to interject and say one thing too. What's really awesome is the Syncro community scripts too. So you don't have to be a whiz with scripts. You can find a script that's already written.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's a good point. You'd be surprised how many people like, how would I do X? Or like just search in the community. If you thought of it, somebody probably already thought of it too.
Yep.
Yeah, good point.
No need to reinvent the wheel. I know a lot of people come to us and they're like, I don't script. And I'm like, is it by choice or just, you're not familiar with it? Because I promise you can do it with Syncro. So
yep.
That's awesome. Well, I'm really excited because now I get to show you guys one of my favorite features in the whole system, especially with what Andy just showed us. You can use that in this section too. So this is going to be the automated remediation section. And then with this, because Syncro is a fully embedded PSA and RMM, this module is extremely powerful. It's going to connect both of those in what I like to call an automagic way, truly. And it also happens to be one of the many features inside of Syncro that allows you to make money in your sleep. So in this module, you're able to create automated actions based on specific conditions. So let me go ahead and share my screen with you all here. And truly, the options are endless here. So let me just show you an example. I have a very simple automation set up to say, if a device has low hard drive space, there is absolutely no reason for you to spend any time and effort here if we can solve it without you lifting a finger. So I have my condition set, trigger category is low hard drive space. And then if I just want to run a script to clean temp files and clear the alert, boom, I'm done. That's it. Now, I could also have an automated remediation that fires a new or a script that fires a new automated remediation if the issue is still present after I run the script. In the second automated remediation, you might take it a step further and you may say, okay, my trigger category is still low hard drive space, but I'm going to go ahead and convert this one into a ticket. The great thing here is I can pre-populate the fields. If there's a specific issue type that a technician is going to work on, you can have that auto assigned to this technician. And then of course, just pre-fill the rest of the fields. And I want to point out a few notable features here in the conditions section. So for any of these, you can just have them run inside or outside of business hours. That's a nice feature here. You can also set a rate limit. So if this happens X number of times per day, and I like to mention that these are and. So if this and this, then these actions are not like if it meets one and not the other. It's not and or. So I like to mention that. And then you can also set up customer specific automations. Maybe you have a VIP customer that you have specific automations for. You can absolutely do that. And then when we talk about the actions, a few things that I like to show here. If you want to alert an end user, you absolutely can. And then if you use Teams or Slack, which most companies do use one or the other of those, you can set that up to post into a Teams channel or a Slack channel just for easy notifications without getting, emails and phone calls. But if that's what you want, emails, text messages, in-app notifications, you can have those too. So I absolutely love automated remediations. If you already use Syncro, chances are you don't use this section and you should. And if you're just looking at Syncro for the first time, this is like one of the first things you should be looking at in the system.
Yeah, I love that too. And one of the things y'all might notice if you're on a different platform is that Syncro designed automated remediations as a more modern way of not having to attach remediations to an existing policy. Normally in your policy, you're going to define your monitors and you'll normally define the remediations there. What sucks about that is if you have a one-off, now you have to create an entirely new policy. That's how people wind up with hundreds of policies, which is crazy. We take that entire system out. And just like Brandy showed you, if you want to do something, one specific customer, cool. It's one extra drop down in your time. Real cool process. All right.
Very nice.
Over to my favorite topic, which is collecting money. There's nothing better for me. There was nothing better in my MSP. It doesn't get any better than this. And so we spent a lot of time on billing automations, and a lot of people don't really even understand what that term means. And I'd love to show it because this saves a ridiculous amount of time and effort. And it also reduces the amount of money that, I don't want to say walking out the door like it was stolen, that just never made it to the invoice. Somebody increased an endpoint, you forgot to bill them for 2 months. Can't really go back and say, you kind of owe me another $200 on top of the thousands you're already paying me for. So you kind of have to eat it. Well, this gets rid of all that. So I'm looking at a recurring invoice now. And we're going to talk about billing per endpoint. This is the most common contract method. So we have what we call an asset counter. Now, you all might do this differently. I normally bill my stuff under labor because that's how I would track it in my MSP. This is all time, basically. And let's say that I want to bill $100 an endpoint. Cool. I can go in here and I'm going to say, I want to bill for every Syncro device. We define Syncro device as a Windows or Mac machine that has the Syncro agent installed onto it. And what this is going to do is this is a dynamic counter. What I mean by dynamic is that when this recurring invoice fires, it goes and it counts how many endpoints this particular customer has at this particular moment in time. If it's 10, great. 10 times 100, that line item is now $1,000. Next month, without me doing anything, if I've onboarded 2 additional endpoints, now it's going to count and it's going to say, hey, I have 12. 12 times 100, that's $1,200. You will never have to manually count anything again on Syncro. And once you start doing this, you will be shocked at how much time and energy this saves. Now, I can hear people saying already, oh, well, that's super cool, but I bill one price for a workstation, another price for a server. This doesn't work for us. That's true, but we thought of that too. So in our saved endpoint searches, we can just say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to bill $100 for every workstation. And as a second line item, these are not strictly one line item. You can add as many as you want. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say, and I'm going to bill all my servers at $150 a piece. Now you can even go off to, if you want to bill for every router you have, fine. You want to bill for every printer, it doesn't matter. You can count anything you want, add it as a line item at whatever value you want. We'll do the rest. You don't have to think about anything. So other people are going to say, well, cool, but I just spent all this time on setting up my policy inheritance, which is another standout feature of Syncro we'll show you in a minute. Can I use that to bill? Yeah, sure. So same concept. A lot of people are going to say, okay, so I've got like a gold plan, a bronze plan, a silver plan, something like that. And I can go into my policies and let's see, I'm going to go ahead and bill it to labor again. Bill it to this one. And under here, you're going to see, okay, I've got servers and workstations. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, I brought up the wrong customer. Normally there'll be a plans option here. That's my mistake. Let me see if I refresh this, if it comes back. Live demo, something always happens every time. Let's see, there we go. So under plans, I've got my bronze plan, my gold plan, my silver plan. And this is where, these are folders I created that I can put endpoints into for organization purposes, and now also for billing purposes. So cool, I'm going to count everything that's in this bronze plan. And sure, if there's subfolders I have underneath that doing different things, let's count those too. I'm going to build those out at $100. You want to add a second line item and capture everything that's in the gold plan, fine. Best part is if you don't have anybody at this particular customer using a gold plan, fine. We won't write anything to the line item. You could just set this up for everybody. If they move into or out of a plan, doesn't matter. We will count it. We will handle that for you. Now, I'm sure people are saying, well, that's super cool, Andy, but we bill per employee. Cool, so do we. So you can go down here and we will count your contacts as well. So same thing, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna bill it out to labor. Now, this is already gonna tell me, hey, you've got 2 contacts associated with this customer right now. That may change later, but that's what we have right now. So super easy. I'm gonna go ahead and bill $100 for every contact that I have at this customer. Now, if I add a contact mid-month, cool. Then it's going to be 3 times 100, $300. Don't have to do anything. Now, somebody's going to say, and I'm sure people are already getting the clever things they can do in their mind. Well, that's super cool, but I like to track when an employee is terminated or they walk off, whatever it is, because I like to keep all the ticket history. We get asked that for customers. Cool point. So what we do is you can add custom fields to your contact records. So I added one for employee status. They're either active or they're inactive. And when somebody goes inactive, I'll just flag them as inactive. And then I'm going to say, I only want to bill $100 for every active employee. Between this and the asset counter, there's literally no combination you could come up with where we couldn't dynamically count it for you. Now, because we love this, we were like, well, what other cool stuff can we bill for automatically? So one of the things that Syncro does is we allow you to have work from home licenses with our remote access tool, which is SplashTop. So you get SplashTop free for all your technicians. It's $5 per contact when you add an end user onto it. And it's per contact and not per endpoint. So if that user has access to 5 machines, they will see all 5 machines for the same $5. If it's a management role or an oversight role that needs access to all 100 machines or whatever it is, still $5, they'll have access to all of that in the customer portal. So we thought it'd be super cool if we counted that too. So now you can build this out to remote access or whatever you want. And now I'm going to bill $10, $20, $50. It doesn't matter. This is going to dynamically count it and bill it for you. Super cool. So last thing is a lot of people say, okay, I have block hour contracts. Can you handle that? Yeah, absolutely. We have a prepay feature. And when you invoice out prepay hours, it gets credited to the customer. So let's say that we have a customer that's got 10 prepay hours. And the most common scenario is if they consume all 10 prepay hours in a month, you can go ahead and then bill them at some rate. Our contracts can set that sum rate to be whatever you want per customer. So if you want to charge them the full rate, great. If they get a discount because they're on the contract, no problem. That'll work too. At the end of the month, those hours typically expire. They don't have to if you don't want to, but traditionally they would. So if they're paying for 10, they've got 3 left. When this recurring invoice fires on the first of the month or whatever your cadence is, it's going to wipe whatever hours exist that are left from the previous cycle, and it's going to re-add all 10. So basically on the first of every month, they're refreshed for their new amount. So we can wipe it, we cannot wipe it. The last thing that we did is we have a lot of people that bill out for like a managed services contract, but there might be incidentals. That might be like some endpoint that failed and you had to pay to replace it. Or maybe you covered during normal office hours, but anything during nighttime or after hours is considered emergency labor and that's billed. Well, a lot of times a customer may not want to get 20 invoices throughout the end of the month, and you may not want to process 20 invoices because again, we're trying to save you time here. So this checkbox right here will actually go out and pull every single charge that exists on tickets that are not billed yet, and it will add it to this recurring invoice. You can even sort how you want it to appear on here. That's how granular we got. Now, I know some people are saying, well, that's super cool too, but we only bill out for resolved tickets. That's not going to help. Well, okay, we thought of that too. So you can go in here and just select whatever statuses that you want. So if you just want to bill out for resolved tickets, cool. Now it's going to filter out everything that isn't resolved. That'll be billed at a later time, and this will only pull in resolved tickets. Now, if you want to have one invoice every month that's just for your recurring stuff, and let's say that this particular customer says, Andy, I really want these to come weekly. Anything you're going to bill me for outside of my contract, I want to see that weekly. That's fine. Just set up a new recurring invoice for them. Set this to whatever you want. You can even go triannually, and I don't think I've ever said that word in my life. Don't know why you'd ever do that, but you can do it if you want. You can literally cover anything you want with this system. And then I won't have it set in here because I don't have payments tied to my production account, but if you have the customer's credit card stored and it's on file, you can even choose to bill that. So you never have to go chasing money. This recurring invoice fires the first of the month. It immediately bills the customer and you're done till the next month, the next cadence. And if you want to have them send in checks for the incidental stuff and they're on credit cards for this, set it up however you like. There's literally nothing you can't do in this system. Covers both credit card payments and ACH payments. Gonna give it back to Brady. She's gonna cover ticketing.
Awesome. Thanks, Andy. Just get this share. You know, I learned not to ask. Can you see my screen? Like, yes, they can see your screen, right? You don't need to ask. So I'm eliminating that from my vocab from now on. So the first thing I'm going to show you here is just a standard ticket view. So tickets inside of Syncro are probably going to look different than they do in your existing platform. And the reason why here is just because you can do a wide variety of RMM related tasks here inside of the ticket as well. So let's take a look at what we have. So the first thing I want to point out at the top is an add and view charges section. Not only am I putting their labor on their tickets, but I can also add products and services onto this ticket as well. So I have other billable items. If I scroll a little further down, you're going to see worksheets. I really like worksheets. They're done differently here at Syncro. A lot of products don't have these. And our partners really love worksheets. So the idea behind this is if there are specific ticket types that you work on regularly, you can have a set list of items that need to be accomplished. So in this example here, I have a virus removal ticket. Maybe there's a list of tasks that I need to accomplish, and I just want to make sure that these are taken care of every single time. And maybe you have a new technician as well, and you just want to make sure that they're not cutting any corners and they really are following the same steps that you are accustomed to. So you can do that. Another example here is like if you have a new employee that you're setting up, okay, I installed the agent, I added the user to the domain, I've updated all of the available updates here. So there's quite a few different options. You can ad hoc these, you can create these ad hoc just on the fly. And then if you want to, if there are certain worksheets that you want to be required before a ticket can be resolved, that's also an option that you can set up. So you can have as many of these worksheets on a ticket as you want to. And then of course, like the labor, we talked about that. Yes, you can log labor. But remember whenever I said that you can do RMM related tasks inside of the ticket, this is what I'm talking about. So in this section, I'm working on a ticket where the agent is installed. I can click this quick view button here, this magnifying glass, and it's going to pop up with system details. It's going to give me the option to remotely accessing the device, doing some background tools. I can even run a script. I can even schedule those right here. Andy showed us a lot of ways we can do that. Now this is how we can do it inside of a ticket. Any of those scripts that you had favorited are going to be available here. I can chat directly with the customer. And then if you need to create another new ticket off of this, you can absolutely do so. And then Andy talked about recurring invoicing, but it doesn't have to be an invoice that's recurring. I can actually just turn any ticket here into an invoice. And do so here. It looks like I've already created one for this one, but right here, talk about items falling through the cracks. We want to make sure that you guys are getting paid. So I'm creating this invoice from a ticket, and it's going to show me if I have any pending ticket charges for this client. Awesome. I can go ahead and add all of these here onto the invoice, or I can pick and choose. So we really don't want anything slipping through and you guys missing getting payment on anything. And then I'm going to go ahead and go back into the ticket view here. So, and just one note, our technicians the owners typically tell us their techs love having everything just in one screen, being able to do all of the RMM related tasks inside of a ticket without swapping to different products or to different windows. So they really like to be able to do that start to finish and complete a ticket. These are our ticket views. So you can create different saved searches if you'd like to. Maybe a technician just needs to focus on specific types of tickets. You can do that. Billing status is huge, right? We want to make sure that the billing status is populated on a ticket, and we don't want that to slip through either. So if we need to see all of them that are maybe an invoice is required, or maybe they're non-billable, you can filter that way. And then not only are there saved searches that I can set up to be like default or specific to a person, but I'm also able to group. So you have this grouping option. And maybe I just want to group this by technician here. I'm going to go ahead and apply because I'd like to see the workload of each of my technicians. Now, if I wanted a secondary filter here, I could group by like tech and then maybe status. So I could look at this and say, wow, demo engineer is waiting for 2 replies. Demo engineer has 3 new tickets. They need to start working on those. So quite a few different options just directly on here. That's all I have for tickets.
And Brady, I know you'll show it later, but I'm sure somebody might be asking. I know you said splash top during this, but then I saw backgrounding tools. That sounds cool. What is that?
Yeah, so backgrounding tools is awesome. I am going to show you guys that here, here shortly, actually. But backgrounding tools is Syncro's proprietary tool that we built. You can do a lot of things in the background without disrupting your end user. There is a secondary remote access tool in there just for backup in case you need it. But I look forward to showing you guys that because it's super cool.
Cool.
I've got a quick question.
Yeah.
What are some popular integrations with Syncro?
Well, the integrations that can help make you money, right? So the sell-through type products, right? As an MSP, you have, and Andy's better to talk about the overall package, but you're selling things like antivirus, right? So we do have Webroot and Bitdefender. We have Proofpoint, that's our newest partner. We actually have a webinar with them tomorrow. Andy is going to be doing that. So for email security and security awareness training, we have Acronis for backups, right? All MSPs want to use a backup solution. Of course, how are we going to get paid and make money? So we have WorldPay, Stripe, PayPal to collect payment, accounting, QuickBooks Online, Xero. I would say those are our most commonly used integrations. And then I also like to mention that in our App Center, we have a lot, and you may look at that and say, oh, there's like competitors in there, because you'll see some of our competitors. They are not integrations. They're actually migration tools, because we've had so many people come from other platforms. We built a migration tool, click of a button, you're able to import everything in there. So it does show up on our integrations list, but I also like to separate that and let people know it's really just to make it a streamlined process. Anything else you'd add in there, Andy?
No, I think that's great. You know, a lot of people say like, well, okay, so Proofpoint, I can make money from it. Yeah, sure you can. But more importantly, let's say you're charging at $150 an hour and you got a customer who, for whatever reason, they like to click, do you have a UPS package coming? No. Well, why'd you click the email that says you do? Why'd you put in information? Why'd you do any of these things? And they're doing it twice a week. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So how much time are you spending, especially if you're under like an ACE agreement, hours a month at $150 an hour that you could be off spending and charging somebody else for, when you could just be spending $20 a month for the 10 Proofpoint licenses or whatever it costs to ensure that never happens. So making money is great. Saving it so you can take that time, repurpose it, sell it, and make even more money on it is really how you can increase your efficiencies in big ways. So yeah, both from making money and being able to save money, we have a lot of integrations designed specifically for that.
I've got another question. So
Yeah, sure.
if we've got a member who is interested in the Syncro platform and they're just very focused on the time, how long typically does it take for someone to get started with Syncro, hit the ground running, so to speak?
Yeah, so as Brandy mentioned, the migration tools take away the suckiest piece of migrating. I have all my stuff that lives over here, and now I have to have it live over here. That part's easy. Secondarily, you'd be setting up your custom flows, and chances are you may have to spend a little bit of time on that, not because you're not going to be able to do it because we do it in more efficient ways. And you're going to want to try to optimize a little bit of that. You don't want to make too many changes up front, but you do want to make some where you can. And then the biggest difference between Syncro and everybody else is that we built the platform so it makes sense. And I'm going to give an analogy, and I don't want anyone to think I started a war by saying this, but I like to look at it in terms of an Apple and an Apple device like an iPhone and an Android device. And in the Apple world, it's kind of a little bit more locked down, but you can do 90% of everything out of the box. I sent my parents an iPhone not long ago. My mom just FaceTimed me the other day. If people know like how crazy that is that my mom could FaceTime me, I didn't teach her. She just did it on her own. Now she still sends me texts and signs her name and all that kind of stuff, but she's learning, you know. But on an Android, you can do a lot more, but you also have to have way more knowledge in order to accomplish that. We want 90% of what you're going to see in the platform for any one of your techs or yourself to do out of the box. And the reason that's important is because you'll hear horror stories where people have to pay significant onboarding fees, or even worse, hire a consultant to set the platform up because you're too busy in your day-to-day fixing problems to set up, configure, and maintain all this stuff. And then the worst case scenario is that usually you'll have a lead tech. They'll take it upon themselves to go learn everything, set it up how you want, and then they bail out. And you're like, I can get 10% out of the power of this platform. We build it the opposite way. We want everybody saying, I got 90% of power out of it. I barely had to invest any time at all. That's one of our claims to fame. That's a good question, Scott.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that. We have a senior sales engineer too, an account executive. Like you'll be partnered with somebody who will be your point of contact on your journey. Our senior sales engineer oftentimes works with people to help them migrate and set up, you know, specific workflows and okay, this is what I do over in this product. How do I accomplish that in Syncro and really make it a tailored approach? You know, I've had people with a few thousand endpoints that are able to migrate in a matter of a weekend. So I think it comes down to how much dedication you have and like what priority this is too. Like you can get it done in a day if you need to.
And there was another question I saw in there about, do you charge for training? And the answer is no. And if people ask why, I would probably say, because that's gross. Think about how crazy that is if you think about it. Let's say you buy a new car for $50,000 and they're like, cool, here you go. Now you have to sit here and pay us $5,000 to learn how to use the car. Well, what the hell? I know how to drive. Yeah, but we made it so complicated that no human being can ever understand any feature in here. So you have to pay us so we can show you how to use the platform properly. We don't do that. So we've got bi-weekly sessions we just spun up, both for trainings on the RMM portion and the PSA portion. Every 3 weeks, we run what we call an Ask Us Anything, which is myself and Ian Alexander, who's our channel chief. And we will take any questions. We'll basically give the news, what's going on, what we're working on. Ask us whatever you want. Don't care. We'll answer everything. Any takers, we're happy to take them on. And then as Brandy mentioned, we also have access to our solution engineers, which will help you during that onboarding process. If you're trying to recreate some very specific flow, you're trying to get going quick, we will help you out with that too. So yeah, that really, really easy. I don't think we can make it any easier. If anybody's got ideas on how to make it easier, we'd love to hear them, but we really try to go out of our way to make it easy for folks.
So do you guys have like a YouTube channel where you can go back and get those past events and watch those too?
We do, yeah. And it'd be anything from small training videos on little bits like the scripting stuff we were just talking about. Folks are asking about the Acronis and the Proofpoint webinars that we're doing. We're doing another one, Proofpoint tomorrow. They all lined up on our YouTube channel as well. So yeah, good question. Everything is there.
Awesome.
I'm going to talk about reporting quick. This is not the sexiest topic. I get it. Reporting normally sucks everywhere. There's always like 50,000 stock reports. None of them do exactly what you want. We have a lot of stock reports too, but we said, look, at some point we have to give people some form of a builder, but we don't want to make it where you have to have like engineering level Power BI mechanics to make this work. So this is one of the examples that we came up with. This is the most common thing you'll be sending your customers, your exec summary reports. And this is a builder that lets you pull from any manner of things. All of these blocks are customizable. You can add, remove them. And we have different block types. This is called a visual summary block. And you can see there's literally like 40 different blocks that you can pick from between these different methods. And all of them are extremely customizable. So if you want to show it as percentage or quantities, hide zero values. In alerts, you can pick specific alert types you want to report on, or you can report on all alerts. You can set the period types. For this one, you can select what OSs show up here in your breakdown. You can have a device breakdown, things you want to show. Again, completely customizable. We have a secondary option, which is called text summary blocks. And this basically lets you take any kind of thing, like these are all my alert types, and I can just pick the top 3 of what I want over the past 30 days. Because it's customizable, I can even add this multiple times on the same row and say, this is 90 days, this is 60 days, this is 30 days, and I can show trends. You can even go and you can make a list block, and this will list contacts, tickets, endpoints, and you can say, okay, this customer, for whatever reason, challenges me every single month that I'm billing them for all their endpoints. I want to send them a recurring report every month, and I can do that. So I'm going to say, okay, cool. I'm going to send them a list of all their endpoints, or just a saved search with specific endpoints. You can add whatever columns that you want here to include for data, sort it however you want. Ascending, descending, you can limit it to how many records are going to be on there. And now they're going to have a list of that every single month. And if you want to take it a step further, you can even add a static content and say, this is for the stuff that you challenge me on every month. Obviously, you'd say it nicer than I would, but you can add explainer text all over the report. You can even go in and set exactly where you want the page breaks to be when this cuts into a PDF. Extremely, extremely customizable. These can get scheduled out. And then the best part is these get saved into, now I probably have some garbage data in here, but these get saved into a template. So when you schedule this out, you can pick the template you want. So I could have 10 customers under template A. I could have a VIP template for some specific contact at a big business that wants to see some things that the other people in the business don't want to see. Fully customizable. And then we took this and we made this into what we call the internal summary report builder, which is effectively the same thing, except it's not scoped to a single customer. It's basically for you to build your own custom reports. You can schedule it to yourself, or you can run them ad hoc and just pull whatever data you want, but across your entire customer base, not necessarily just a single customer, although you could do that if you wanted to. Now, when I was talking before about taking it very seriously about Syncro making our MSPs more money, this is the stuff we are now getting on into. And people were asking, what are you going to work on for the remainder of the year? A lot of it is PSA stuff, and it's stuff specifically scoped to make our MSPs on our platform more money. One of the next reports that we're going to be looking at, which is not available today, is what I would call a technician utilization report. That's very, very specific, and it says, hey, my tech clocked in for 40 hours. I see 25 hours of billables. Where's the rest of that time? Well, we blew that up and said, okay, yes, that's one way to look at it. We would like to look at it in terms of efficiency, which is something that no other platform is doing well. So we took something called ownership duration, and this is not how many hours you worked on any given ticket. This is how long that ticket was in your control, how long the ball was in your court, so to speak. And it works like this. Let's say Brandy's my MSP and I'm the customer, and I send Brandy a ticket. I asked for help. She's supposed to be providing it. We're now ticking a clock. The moment Brandy replies and says, oh, I know what that is, go ahead and do this, then the clock stops. So if I take a whole day to get back to her, that has nothing to do with efficiency, because that's the customer spending this time. It's not Brandy's MSP. Now, when I send a note back to Brandy, she's going to be like, oh, okay, well, that's not what I thought it was. Let's try these things. Ball's in her court, clock is ticking. You can even go in and say, okay, let's say that the ball's in Brandy's court, but she has to order a part. Well, the clock really shouldn't be ticking for that. You can't make the part come faster theoretically. So you can go in and say, I'm going to stop the clock on all these statuses. You can even go in and say, I want to stop the clock if it's not my business hours, because if I reply to Brandy at 6 o'clock at night and her business hours are up at 5, she shouldn't own the ticket for the next 12 hours or 14 hours till she comes in the next morning. Same thing over a weekend, over a holiday. Include all that if you want to. We're going to factor all of that in, and we are going to break it down by ticket type, and we are going to show you your baselines for your entire company. So in this, again, this is just mock data, but our average time from the time the ticket came in to the time we resolved it while the ball was in our court is 37 minutes. That's actually pretty good. Now we break it down by hardware, other printing issues. Every ticket type you have, it can be 100 ticket types if you want. We're going to grab you a baseline for every single one. If you actually want to drill into this at any point, you can click that, and it's just going to show you all the hardware tickets, all the other tickets, whatever it is. Then we're going to take your baseline and we're going to compare it to every single technician that you have on staff. It's going to show all the tickets they specifically worked, what their averages are, and most importantly, how they compare to the company baseline. So here, they're ahead of the game as far as hardware tickets go, and they're right about on par with this. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to be happy. Technician 1, doing your job. I like what I'm seeing. Now, let's just say that it looked differently. Let's say that I look at this and I'm like, technician 2, what the hell? You're 37% slower solving tickets than all the other techs in my company. That's not good. I'm burning money here, and this report just told me that. Now, this may be something bad. This could be that the tech sucks. That's always a thing. They've given up. You have people who are checking out, at some point. They don't want to do their job anymore. Fine. Doesn't have to mean anything bad is going on. In this instance, and this was something that actually happened in my MSP, let's say that this individual, I hired them because they do all the crazy stuff. Anything I would classify as other, that's what they specialize. Well, they're 16% above average, so they're kicking ass here. This is what I wanted to see. But my tech that normally does hardware stuff, they bailed out with no notice. So she's actually in here helping me with hardware tickets. It's not her specialty and it shows, but it's not because she sucks. It's because that's not what I hired her to do. So again, this threw a flag, and I can explain why that is the way it is. If you can't explain it, is when there's a problem and when there's a hole. Now we thought, man, this is really cool. And we heard a lot of great feedback on this. So we made one specific to customers too. Report will look almost identical. It has all the same mechanics. All your baselines will be identical. But what we did is we broke it down by customer. And we did that because a lot of people say, oh man, I just signed this deal. It's $5,000 a month for the next year. Greatest thing ever. And then it's like you're making this money, and nobody says, oh, I'm spending 300 hours a month solving these people's problems. I'm actually losing money. Like, you'd be surprised how many times people say that and they have no concept of that. This will show that. If this is my baseline and this is something vastly different, you're going to see it. This customer is either on poor, they're using way less resources than I assume, which in my opinion turns them into a VIP. If they call, I'm going to be there because this person's using way less time than what I'm actually charging them for. Or the one that's really going to kill you is if they're like 150% below average, which means they are consuming 2.5 times the ticket time that every other customer is. Maybe they're a super complex customer, and that's normal. But what if you signed them up like any other office and they're consuming all this time? We had to implement some training courses for some offices that we misqualified. Their level of IT knowledge in general was horrible, to the point where rebooting a computer was practically an on-site service. It was that bad. So we had to invest some time, but we saw that number tick up, and it made us time in the long run that we basically returned through sold hours. So again, not the sexiest thing to talk about, but when we can break things down like this and just expose it for you without having to know anything, super, super powerful stuff. I know Brandy's going to show you one of her favorites now. I like this one too.
Yeah, let me show you guys this. So we've talked a little bit about policies today, but one of the things inside of the policy is really customizing the system tray menu. So my example here is just for the asset that I'm going to show you guys, but the options are pretty endless here too. So an agent contact form is essentially them being able to create a ticket inside of by clicking their system tray menu, which is going to be your logo. I have a couple different ones because they're going to fire off different automations depending on what type of ticket they are. Live chat. So we have async communications. There's a live chat there, a link to their customer portal. Maybe you want them to send an email from there. Internal IT departments like this too, because if there's anything that your employees need to log into every single day, yeah, we all have Google bookmarks and such these days, but still just clicking that and being able to like clock in or click on that and request time off. There's a lot of different options you can give them. So I'm going to show you right here. This is actually our backgrounding tools that Andy mentioned earlier. So real quick, I'll do a quick touch on those, but we do have the task manager here, so I can start and stop those. The service manager, of course, you can start, stop, and restart services from here. The event viewer, I can filter this by logs and levels. My computer's just a little slow, so you can do that. You've got your system information, of course. Most of this shows up on the tab inside of Syncro as well. The file system, so lots of options here, right? I can cut, copy, paste, delete, zip folders directly from here. You've got your registry editor, and keep in mind, this is all happening in the back end without disrupting your end user at all. I can run command line and PowerShell prompts as well. And then I'm going to click on the Syncro logo down here, but again, that can be your company logo. And there's my pretty customizable menu. I can click here. I can create a ticket. This one was titled emergency ticket. So I'm sure in the back end, we have it set to like fire off a certain priority, specific automations. This is your logo. if you have those VIP customers and you want to make it really personable, this logo here could also be like your customer's logo. So you could have a separate one for each customer if you wanted to, or again, internal IT if you'd like to do that. I can do my chat directly from here as well. I can chat with the technician. So many different options, but I love, love, love the customized system tray menu here.
Cool. I love that one too. The backgrounding tools are awesome. We'll put anybody on notice when it comes to the backgrounding tools. We're full blown there.
Yep.
I did see one other question. If there's anything else, Scott, fire it off. But I saw one about support channels. And before I get into the last thing, we have phone support, live chat. We have our community forum, and then obviously email the ticket. So you should be pretty covered as far as support goes. Are you seeing anything else, Scott, in the Facebook group that you want us to tackle?
Well, I did want to ask you kind of an ending question too. We've talked about an awful lot today. It's a wonderful, very extensive platform. What is on the roadmap for the next year or so with Syncro?
Yeah, it's a good question. So I think I would probably loosely say, without giving any secrets away, which I'm known to do, it's primarily focusing on the PSA. Now, as you saw,
Okay.
the RMM, it's hard to put more functionality in the RMM. Like, it really is something that we're more than happy to compete pound for pound on. I will say, as far as the PSA goes, even with all the power that we just showed you, there is improvements we could make there, and those are things we're looking to do. Things like better organization of tickets into what you might call service boards or something to that extent. Beefing up our automations and adding more ticket automations, or the frequency that they fire, things like that. And then again, we are, well, I guess I can say it now, I haven't announced it yet, but we are spinning up a new program that's kind of an old program that's being relaunched, called the Community Driven Development Track. This is the favorite thing that we've ever done at Syncro. We go into our Facebook group and we say, hey, community, everyone always says, oh, if it only did this one little thing, would be so much better. I'll make so much more money. My life would be better. My wife would love me more. Whatever it is, it's always something that's gonna change your life. And it always seems really easy, and a lot of times it is. So this track is specifically designed for things like that. Folks will talk about with us their favorite features they're gonna put in, what they need, how it's gonna impact their lives. And we'll pick a couple that are our favorites. They go into our development queue and we make them. And we will be releasing those on a regular cadence. And obviously we have feature request boards and things like that, but this is so much cooler and more interactive because you will literally talk with us about the feature. We can even help you scope it if you're not clear exactly how far you want it to go. And if it fits within the confines of this program and other people love it, we'll probably love it too, and we'll build it. We love this program. I'm so excited that this is coming back.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Same. I'm super, super excited about that. So you guys heard it here first, right?
Well, yeah, don't say anything for a little while so I don't get in trouble.
Our partners don't know yet.
Your secret's safe with me.
Appreciate
Perfect. Yeah, it's not live on air or anything like that. Well, I know we've shown you guys a lot of different things today. Honestly, we've really just scratched the surface with Syncro and what it can do for your business. A few other things that we do have, we include a fully featured chat module that I mentioned briefly with tech assignment, async communications, full archiving. We do have a contracts module that allows for customer specific pricing. We have S&MP monitoring, that's no additional cost, and so much more. So if you guys do want to learn anything more about Syncro, our email address is sales@syncromsp.com, and we will drop that in the thread as well under this stream. But reach out if you have any questions. Andy mentioned we have a free 14-day trial. It's fully functioning. We would love to hop on a call with you. I promise it's not your typical sales call. We are truly trying to understand your business needs, what your goals are, if you have pain points with your existing platform, and how we might be able to help solve some of that pain for you. So we do a completely customized, it's not scripted or anything like that. So we like to make sure you guys are taken care of, and that really it's a good mutual fit.
Awesome. Do you mind putting up the little splash of the where everybody has to go to get the trial?
Let me see what I have here. I may have popped out of that, but I can try to find it again. Let me just grab it.
I can grab it, Brandy, if you don't have it.
think I have it. I just exited out of my slides, of course. So here we go. There you go.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to do this. I use Syncro as well, but I also can tell you that, there's a lot of information here. So I'll always learn every time we do this. I always pick up bits personally from my own business. So thank you all so much for taking the time, and I can't wait to do the next one.
Yeah,
Thanks.
thanks for having us, Scott. Yeah, and send us a note. I want to hear all the ways that you're implementing this stuff to make more money. We love that stuff.
We'll do it. We'll do it. Absolutely. Well, I hope
Okay.
everyone enjoys the rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Take care, everybody.
All right, see ya.